Hi everyone, my name is Josh Horton and I'm a conservation educator here at the Salado Wildlife Education Center. Today I'm going to talk to you about woodland nocturnal game species. So hopefully earlier this week you saw Isabella's video on habitats and she talked a little bit more in depth about the woodland habitat. So today I'm going to talk to you about nocturnal game species that you can find in that habitat. But before we go and talking about those animals, we have to define what a nocturnal game species is. That sounds like a lot, but I won't leave you in the dark about it, so let's break it down. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about what nocturnal really means. Nocturnal means that you're most active at night. You're going to be hunting at night and getting your food, you're going to be foraging, things like that. And to survive at night, you need to have adaptations for nighttime. A general theme among nocturnal species is that they have larger eyes. And larger eyes are going to let in as much light as possible at night to let them see things better. For the nocturnal species that don't have larger eyes, they have other adaptations. Like bats have echolocation, and other animals have a keen sense of smell or hearing. So now that we know a little bit about what nocturnal means, we can talk about the difference between a game species and a non-game species. A non-game species is any wildlife species that cannot be harvested for a number of reasons. They might have a low population and so they're off limits for hunting, or they might be federally protected for some reason. Some examples of this are the great horned owl or the little brown bat. A game species is any wildlife species that can be hunted, fished, or trapped. And in order to do this, you need a license. Buying your license for hunting or fishing actually funds the fish and wildlife. So now that we've defined a little bit about nocturnal and game species versus non-game species, we can go back to the main topic, which is woodland nocturnal game species. It's important to know and understand that while they are primarily nocturnal, you might see these guys during the day. So we're going to go ahead and look at these animals that we have over here. The first animal we're going to talk about is the bobcat. To UK fans, you might know this as the wildcat. These guys are great hunters and they primarily eat small rodents and birds. They are very elusive. You might never see them. They are most active at night. And one of their nocturnal adaptations is that they have tufted ears. And the little tufts on their ears help to capture more sound than other animals, and so they can detect their prey while hunting at night. Another nocturnal species is the raccoon, which I'm sure most of you guys have seen at some point. These guys are everywhere, and while they are nocturnal, you'll also see them a lot during the day. But they like to get into people's trashes, they might get into your attic or on your house somehow, and they're usually just searching for food or shelter. And a lot of people seem to think that if you see a raccoon out during the day, it's sick or it has rabies or something like that. But that is not necessarily true. These guys will forage and go looking for food out during the day. The next nocturnal species we'll talk about is the skunk, which again, they're very similar in the raccoon's behavior in that they will be out during the day sometimes. And they are nocturnal as well, but they have smaller eyes. They actually have pretty bad eyesight. So they make up for that by having a great sense of smell and some great hearing. Another nocturnal game species is the coyote, which you may not see all that often, but you might hear them. You might hear them out howling at night. They have keen eyesight and a great sense of smell. And the last nocturnal species we'll talk about is the opossum, which is super cool. He's got a lot of unique things about him. The first is that opossums are marsupials, which means they carry their young in their pouch, kind of like a kangaroo. They also play dead. Now, they don't actually on purpose play dead, but when they have a lot of stress or if they're being attacked or anything like that, they go into an involuntary reaction where they just sit still and try to avoid their predator that way. Another great fact about the opossum is that one possum can eat up to 5,000 ticks in just one season, which that's great news to me. I don't know about you guys, but I hate ticks. So that is great from the opossum. And one last cool fact is that the opossum, it's actually very rare for it to have rabies. Their body temperature is actually a lot lower than other animals, and the rabies disease cannot live in that low of a body temperature. So we defined and talked about nocturnal game species. We talked about some specific examples. Now, we're not out of the woods yet. We have to talk about why it's important to hunt and trap these species. There's a couple of reasons. One could be that you just need to lower the population. For predators like these guys, you might not want a lot of coyotes out there. You might not want lots of bobcats. If there were too many of them, they might prey upon and decimate the other populations of their prey. Another reason is that it can help control the spread of disease. The less animals there are and the less abundance of animals means that the spread of disease won't be as rampant. And then one last reason might be that it protects the prey items from being too low of a population as well. If there's too many predators and they're eating all their prey items, then the prey might go extinct and things like that. So thank you guys very much for watching the video on woodland nocturnal game species. I hope you learned something today. Keep on the lookout later this week for videos about owls and bats.